Oh, my bad. All right, so this is 3 scary true Chuck E. Cheese stories. I'm terrified. The animatronics always actually skeeved me out, so. Story 1! I'm getting chills.
Remember Chuck E. Cheese? That old arcade with the singing animatronics? Of course you do. I just found out they went bankrupt recently. It made me think back to my horrible experience there as a very little kid.
They went bankrupt?
I was no older than 8 or 9. It was like my 3rd and last time ever at a Chuck E. Cheese. This specific location closed down years ago, but it used to be basically down the street from our old house. My mom took my little brother and I, and she let us roam free and do our own thing and play the games while she sat at one of the tables reading.
Is it bad if I've never been to a Chuck E. Cheese? Because I loved that shit. We just had a different thing that was kind of like Chuck E. Cheese, but it was way better. So I've heard.
Like most of the other parents. I was playing this clown game.
I never
You had
been.
to shoot the clown's teeth out with this little cannonball shooter. I was playing the games that would get me the most tickets for the prizes.
That's what I do.
I finished the game again, and the tickets shot out from the ticket slot.
Chuck E. Cheese blows, says Sam Whammy. Yo, what? What's up with Chuck E. Cheese? Never been. That rap was creepy looking. The new one ain't as creepy. It was creepy, like I said, when they were the animatronic versions of them. That's what's creepy. Because it gives me Five Nights at Freddy's vibes. I'm pretty sure that's what's like it inspired by a little bit. I love the creepy factor of animatronics.
That's when I felt a tap on my shoulder. I turned and jumped in my seat. I was greeted with a giant Chuck E. Cheese mascot in my face. He held out his hand for a high five.
Oh my god.
Naturally, I gave him his high five with a smile. He then pointed at the tickets and gave me a thumbs up. I think I just continued laughing and smiling and said, yeah. Then he pointed at the tickets once more and motioned for me to follow him.
No.
So I ripped the tickets from the slot and
No.
followed the giant mascot.
No.
As we walked across the main floor, a couple other kids around like 6 came up to him saying, "Hey Chucky," and he gave them both high fives.
No.
I kept following him, wondering if he'd tell the other kids to follow.
No.
He didn't.
Don't.
He would turn back every few seconds to make sure I was still following. Finally, we made...
Why? Like, how old did he say he was here? Why are his parents nowhere to be found? How is Chucky... How would you as a child not even be at least intimidated by that? A giant... scary looking rat in front of you when you're gonna go follow it.
Made it across the main floor by the stage towards this back area where he waved me to follow him through this employees only door. From what I remember about how I was feeling, let's just say a combination of weird and excited.
Oh god, what the fuck, dude? You should be mortified that you're following him.
We entered this narrow hallway, and I felt kind of special for being allowed access back here. Keep in mind, I had the mind and maturity of a very young child. The mascot led me to
Why didn't he just say how old he was? Was he actually like 23 and he's just trying not to feel as bad? He didn't give an age specifically.
this back room where he motioned for me to enter first, so I did. It was this small changing room type of room. It had a few lockers on one wall and one long bench extending half the length of the room. That was it. He entered the room and shut the door behind us, and I noticed he locked it. That's when I became confused and afraid.
He's like, wait, what's going on? Bro, you followed a rat into a locker room and he just locked the door. You better start looking for the nearest weapon.
I thought he was
He was 9 or something? Alright, maybe he did say his age, I just didn't hear.
taking me to get a bunch of free tickets. What could he possibly do in this empty room with me? He approached me, put his furry mascot hand on my shoulder, and then started rubbing from my shoulder to my arm. Then he seemed as though he tried to reach lower with both of his hands.
No.
I pushed him off and yelled, "Stop." That's when the person in the suit lifted the mask off his head, revealing some sweaty, middle-aged man underneath.
Oh god.
He started to remove the rest of the costume from himself as he told me to be quiet. I sat there watching, shaking, and plotting my way for the door. When I thought he was distracted,
Dude, how would they not do thorough background checks on people who are going to be working around kids solely? How are you going to have some random sicko 45-year-old man running around as Chuck E. Cheese or Chuck E. Chest or whatever his name is, and you're not going to do a thorough background check on that person?
distracted enough by the suit, I tried to run past him for the door, but he grabbed me and told me to stop. He offered me all the free tickets I wanted if I just behaved.
Oh god.
I started to yell and pound on the door. He tried to cover my mouth, but I think he gave up when he realized it wasn't worth the risk for him. I unlocked the door and ran back down the hall in tears. I ran back to my mom, yelling at her about what just happened. She was distraught and went right to the front desk. The girl at the front desk seemed to be in a panic as well, and I think she called for her supervisor. Pretty soon, all the music was...
Well, how do you even feel as a parent? Is anyone parents in here? Like, I couldn't even imagine you would just not think it's reality. You'd be like, this can't be happening. But then you would just instantly probably be blood beyond boiling too. You're just like, there's no way this is fucking happening.
Stopped, and the place was put into a lockdown of sorts, where all the kids were to go to their parents. A bunch of work.
Chuck E. Cheese is on lockdown because of Chuck E. Chester. Dude, if I was a parent, I'm killing that motherfucker. I know, dude. That's what I mean. But you know what I'm waiting for? Maybe a twist in this is that the person in the costume didn't actually work there.
Workers ran to the back section, and eventually police showed up outside. I had to give my whole story to a crowd of like 6 people, and I was extremely nervous.
I believe you now, Sam Whammy.
Was some random creep who snuck into the back section of the building to dress in one of the suits and apparently lure children to the back. Realizing and looking back at that now as a grown adult is disturbing and disgusting. That I was the victim of a predator. I never found out if that monster was caught.
Probably not. So that's exactly what I mean. I knew it was going to end up being something crazy. Like it wasn't even actually the kid working there. He probably killed the kid working there and then went in the suit. Chuck E. Cheese blows.
I used to work for Chuck E. Cheese very briefly
Sam
when I was 21
with the
years
fucking
old.
Chuck E. Cheese slander.
I was one of the janitors / maintenance workers. I know, not very awe-inspiring. I was broke as hell and needed money. All my job really
Why does this one
was...
look like... Well, this one's weird looking. Wait. That's what I mean. I've never even really seen the fucking outside of them. This kind of looks like one of those strip mall, like 24-hour gyms, doesn't it? That's a weird design.
For the janitors / maintenance workers. I know, not very awe-inspiring. I was broke as hell and needed money. All my job really entailed was cleaning tables and keeping the play areas generally clean. Sounds easy, but there was never really a time to just sit and take a breath.
All right.
There was always something to clean or take care of.
Yeah, bro, it's a job. I mean, it's a Chuck E. Cheese. I mean, they're gonna be working their people down to the bone. They're running on pennies in their budget.
I would also be in charge of turning on and off the animatronics, opening the stage curtains, fixing busted arcade machines, and things of that nature.
That's pretty cool.
My shifts would always be later, from like 4 to 10 p.m. My location closed at 8 on weekdays and 9 on weekends. I would stay an hour, sometimes 2 hours after to get the place in top shape ready for the next day. So this one night, I was working past close like I usually did. Everyone had already left the building, including the other workers, so I was the last one in the building. I was dragging my cleaning cart around the arcade area. I had already turned off all the game machines. I was by that space-themed arcade machine where you had to press the button at the right moment to stop the light on the jackpot bulb. As I was passing by this machine, the space-themed music suddenly emits from the machine at a very loud volume, and all the lights start flashing again.
I don't even know how much worse it can get from the first story. The first one started off right in your face. It was like this guy, he was right behind me, and he was just hovering over me. This is building up with like Star Wars type shit.
Felt like my heart was in my throat. That's how much it startled me. I fiddled with my keys to access the control port of the machine to turn it off again. I'd never seen anything like that happen before.
Spooky.
It suddenly just freaked me out. Only because I was all alone in that big building pretty late at night. The weirdness didn't stop there though. By this point in the night, I had already shut down the animatronics on the stage. So when I heard Chucky's pre-recorded laugh break the silence of the room, my heart started pounding again. The laugh was short and cut off. It almost sounded glitchy. I ditched my cleaning cart to go backstage and
I'd be out of there right there and then, dude. I've seen enough movies and pop culture shit. I'd be out of there so fast if that happened.
check on the animatronics. And I could see they were in their idle modes now, meaning they would move their limbs and heads around every so often. I would have to go to the control room to turn them off, but this was the second strange thing to happen that night. I started getting paranoid that someone else was in the building with me, but that thought was interrupted when I noticed that the Chucky animatronic was facing me, and its head angled down perfectly to look as though it was looking at me.
Oh god.
Bizarre that I was finding it that disturbing. I'm not crazy.
Dude, that'd be so scary. You're in this place alone at night, and that thing just like snaps on you and is looking at you.
But for my own peace of mind, with my eyes on the Chucky animatronic, I walked past it, closer to the control room. I waited there for a few seconds, and then the animatronic spun.
What's fascinating to me too is like what us as humans universally can agree is like creepy looking. And you'll take something like this, but then when I try to analyze why do I think it looks creepy, I don't understand why. Because objectively, it doesn't seem like there's anything to be creepy about it. It's just weird.
Right at me.
What's up with you?
And then the laughter emitted once again from the animatronic. But in a creepy, glitchy, cut-off manner. This time much louder, obviously because I was right next to it. I ran to the control room to hit the switch to turn everything off on the stage once more. I left the control room, and the Chucky animatronic was still facing the direction it was moments before. I left the stage through the curtain and just felt uneasy. I was starting to think maybe it was all just getting to my head.
Get into my
That's
head.
when I heard the horrible laugh again come from the stage behind the curtains.
Oh no.
That was the last straw. I took my card, clocked out, and left. I texted my boss the next day that I had to leave early because I was feeling extremely sick. He said it wasn't a problem, but he never mentioned anything about the animatronics being left on. And when I asked him if the animatronics had some kind of motion detecting feature to look at people, he said no, they didn't. I'm not the most superstitious guy, but
He's a little stitious. What a guy, dude. Like, one, we have no idea if this story actually happened. It does sound like a Reddit story that anyone could come up with, but I want to give these people the benefit of the doubt that this really did happen to them. It's just a coincidence, right? Like, it's nothing actually paranormal. It's just such a coincidence that the thing started short-circuiting at that exact moment and then, like, perfectly locked onto him. It's gotta be just a coincidence, right? Nothing deeper going on there.
I firmly believe I wasn't the only presence in that building that night. And I don't mean there was another person in there.
Yeah. Something else in the room. Maybe it was Chucky Finster.
This is a story from my childhood that I don't like to look back on too much.
Oh God, don't tell me that.
I was 13. My mom brought my two little sisters and I to Chuck E. Cheese one evening. My sisters are 4 and 6 years younger than me, so it was more for them, and my mom just wanted me to come along. My mom was playing games with my sisters, so I went to do my own thing. It was my only time ever at Chuck E. Cheese, so I was trying to play every game at least once. Eventually, a worker in a red polo shirt came up to me. He was in his lower to mid-20s, I'd say. He didn't seem that old. He asked me if I wanted some more tokens. I said, yeah, sure. He told me to follow him.
No! Anytime someone says follow me, we just witnessed that in the first story. How did that end up? Do not follow random people.
He led me through this sketchy back door, which
Yeah, that's your first red flag.
led to a back exit. I asked him where he was leading me. He said to his truck. He told me not to tell anyone, but that he had access to all the tokens he wanted.
Oh my God, instead of candy, he's bribing with tokens. What a fucking maniac.
And just kept piles of them in his car. I stopped following when I realized he was leading me to his car. I told him my mom would be mad. He tried to push that I follow him a little more, but gave up. Before I walked back inside, he asked for my AIM username, and I gave it to him. I was excited for new friends on AIM.
Dude, you know, what are these kids thinking?
For those of you who don't know, AIM was an instant messenger that was
I know some people in here might not even know what AIM is. That's crazy.
all the rage before smartphones and texting really became a thing. I don't remember his username. All I know, it was something with his name in it, which was Ben. I would sign on to AIM every single night, including that night after Chuck E. Cheese. I signed in, and I had a few friends online. Next thing I knew, I got a message from Ben, so I added him to my buddy list. He said, hey, it's Ben from earlier.
Oh
I
God.
replied, what's up, and we started chatting. He chatted with me as if we were good friends already. I asked him how he was able to get all the tokens he wanted, and
That's not the topic of conversation right now, right?
I replied, what's up, and we started chatting. He chatted with me as if we were good friends already. I asked him how he was able to get all the tokens he wanted.
They're so obsessed with how many tokens he has. That'd be me though, for real. I'd be like, no, for real, how do you have that many tokens? Because I want that many.
And he said it's easy when you work there. He told me he was gonna come to my house that night with a bunch of tokens.
Oh my God, dude. Is tokens code word for something else, or are we really talking Chuck E. Cheese gold arcade tokens?
I told him, no, it's okay. And he told me, no, it's fine. You live really close to me anyway. I replied, how do you know where I live? And he said he followed my mom's van on our way home.
Oh, that's fucking interesting. How, and she's still sitting there reading this probably. She's like, oh.
I blocked his account immediately. I was beyond scared. I told my friends about it on AIM, Some of them said I should tell my parents or call the police, but I waited. Maybe he was bluffing. But no, he wasn't. I heard a truck pull up outside through my open window.
No shot. This guy is a real person. There's no way. The Chuck E. Cheese diddler. There's no way.
I looked out the window and saw the black truck that Ben guy was leading me towards earlier. I saw him get out from the truck, and I know he spotted me because he started walking over to my window. I pulled the window in and locked it, and then shut the blind.
Yeah.
By that point, he was already halfway to my window,
God.
and he was waving his arms at me. I ran to my mom to tell her. She didn't find it funny, thinking I was kidding at first, but I convinced her after she looked out the window and saw the black truck begin to speed down the road.
Damn, son, he dipped.
My mom wanted me to show her the AIM conversation, but I couldn't, as I had deleted him off my buddy list and blocked him. My parents called the police, of course, but that was just for peace of mind. They couldn't do anything besides make a report.
Exactly, bro. That's like always the thing. That's why your self-protection needs to be in your hands.
The next day, my mom called the Chuck E. Cheese and asked about a Ben. They said they had no Bens who worked there. There were also no employees matching that guy's description.
Ah, another random
The
weirdo.
Chuck E. Cheese eventually handed the CCTV footage from the day before to the police department for an investigation, which turned up no results. My family never went to a Chuck E. Cheese ever again.
I would fucking hope so, dude. You would never catch me anywhere within a 50-mile radius of a Chuck E. Cheese. I feel like even now, wherever there is a Chuck E. Cheese, the 15-mile bubble around it is just pure garbage. Damn, that's it, huh? Another random dude off the street going in, fucking trying to bargain with tokens. Really? I agree with you there, bro. I think the first story was the best.